on my watch. How's it on your end? Are you at 1010 already?
We're at 1010. We're good to go. We're
Good.
ready to move forward, take action, and get going with our chat today.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody out there, and officially good morning to you, Tanya, as well.
Good morning, Adiva, to you as well.
So, are you excited?
I am, and it's so good to see your smiling face and
Oh,
just
thank
be
you.
able to sit here and I think about all that we've been through with COVID and how far we've come and just how this is kind of a natural way of life now.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm
We were.
loving it.
I was messaging someone, a coworker, and his wife and him, they have a tiny little baby, like 3 months old. So they're still, taking extra precautions and making sure that, not a lot of people are coming to the home and, just really being extra careful. You remember how it was when you have a 3-month old, the first one.
Oh yes, or tiptoeing around the house.
And my thought was
And
like, it's really been a blessing to have this technology of being able to still see people face to face with things like Zoom and other platforms.
mhm.
Because I know as humans, uh, we really do need, just like the air we breathe, we need that connection with people and being able to even share a smile. It's
Mhm.
different than just being on the phone. Um, so I'd like to jump right in. I know that we had talked about that before. I just want to make sure that everyone that hops on is that, we're not here definitely to give any kind of medical advice. It's all educational. It's two moms from different generations sharing from our hearts, from our experiences, and making it fun. When you hop on, we want you to have fun, get a lot of information that empowers you and inspires you to dig deeper and create the healthiest life and happiest life that you were created to have. Um, so, what?
Yes, I agree with you. And the reason for yes, 1010 has a meaning, the time and what it stands for, and the reason why we're here and trusting, what the universe has in store for us. And really being okay with taking the day by day and moving towards this higher purpose, but also sharing that with others and understanding yourself and what that means to you. So that's a little bit about where the 1010 came from and what that means to us, to Adiba and I. And as we were kind of chatting and trying to figure this all out, we both have our own things going on in life, our own, personalities, our own busyness, our own, way of living. But the 1010 both just really spoke to us. And I remember at once Adiba said it, we were both like, oh my gosh, there it is.
That's what I like, for anyone watching, is that, when we become very in tune with what speaks to us, it's like, that's how we were created, like God created us connected with what our purpose is. And I feel like we have become so busy in life that we have kind of like put that aside. It's like, the kids, the job, the house, the success, the business, like we're just caught up in so much that we have gotten away from what we really need the most is just being still with who we are to hear what speaks to us. So I'm excited because it's possible. It's through the craziness of what seems like craziness in life, we can we can hear our inner voice that is a gift to us, to guide us and to um, put us on that journey of becoming the best that we were created to be. So I'm excited about today's topics. We're going to continue from last week and give you some uh, more tangible steps that you can take to, with you, Tanya, you're going to cover the mindfulness, but more geared towards children and younger adults.
Mm-hmm.
I will give some really a couple of steps to how to start recognizing the pain from the past and what can be done to for you to have the tools to start healing that pain and how it impacts our lives today. Um, I was thinking that I'll start with healing the pain because I mentioned meditation and mindfulness in there a little bit, and then have you wrap up our time together with the mindfulness and some techniques and things that they could take away today and start practicing and sharing with others. How does that sound?
Sounds wonderful. Let's go for it.
Okay. Like last week, we talked about pain, and in this sense, we're talking about pain from things that happened in the past. So the first step is to really become very aware that it exists, because whatever we experience in life, it has an impact. And it has an impact depending on how we perceive that event in life. So last week we talked about, if I run to my mom or my dad, as a 2-year-old with this pretty picture that I think is awesome, but then they say my mom was busy with my brother because he bumped his head and he's in pain. At that moment, my mom would say, "Oh, just wait a minute, not now." As a 2-year-old, I take that possibly as a rejection because of everything that has happened and what I expected the reaction to be. So that pain of being, whether it's being rejected or being not good enough or being a failure, I kind of create that perception in my mind. So later on in life, certain things will trigger that for me. And being aware of that is what's really important and how we start healing. So the first step that you can take to really recognize that pain when something happens, let's say, at work, someone just does not do what you ask them to do. You're in a position where you're in management or you're leading a class or whatever it is, but something happens and they're not doing what you ask them to do. The process of trying to heal that, whatever that reaction is to sit with it. So you get home that day and you meditate for a few minutes. And I recommend, taking 5 minutes to sit back, whether you want to listen to some good music or go outside in nature. I think that's the greatest thing that you'll be able to do, is to go and sit, amongst the trees in a park. If you can go outward, there's nothing else around you, that would be awesome. But also you could be in your home, you could be in your car and listening to some just relaxing music. So for those 5 minutes, you'll do, I call it meditation. You can also, sometimes I will pray. So just getting your mind to be very present and not thinking about anything else. And once you feel that calmness in you, then you take the event of the day and you start processing. Just connect with that pain. They didn't listen to me. I felt rejected. I felt like a failure. And recognizing how those emotions are coming up and what do they really mean to you? Is it fear? Is it abuse from the past, whether it's as a child or in a relationship? And really connecting with that, knowing that you are safe, whether you're outside or your car, you're meditating, you're in a place that's safe. And those feelings are happening because of what happened in the past. And they can't hurt us now. And just really connecting with that. It's like, so in this example, I'll be like, I remember I was 2 years old and, my mom was busy with my brother and I took it as that, I wasn't good enough. I'm a failure. So now you're recognizing where the pain stems from. And what I like to share is that, sometimes it's not like instant, it's like, oh, I remember that. And it doesn't have to be where you remember the exact event, but really just allowing yourself to be in that safe place, knowing that those emotions will come up and that you're in a safe place and you're on a journey to heal that. And that's what's really important is, and it comes through practice. And like when you're going to share with us, Tanya, it's not like all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to be mindful, and it happens. It's a process, you know, it's like riding a bike, and you learn how to do it and you practice over and over. And then what's important is that once you're sitting with that pain, you will start realizing whether you can process it yourself and honoring it. It's like, okay, this is what I went through. Now I understand it. It's in the past. Or you may even get to a point where you're realizing that, okay, I need some extra help. You know, this is really intense, because experiences in life can be, you know, from one extreme to the other as individual humans. So it can be impacted, yeah, will impact us in different ways. So to become very aware of, okay, I need some help. So maybe surround yourself with a group of friends or family members that you can trust, so you can talk through it. And we shared that last week, is when we talk through it and we share our experiences. Not only does it help heal us, but it also has an impact on the people around us. It's almost like giving permission for them to speak as well. And the other option is also going to professional counseling, or hiring a coach that is specifically um, uh, experienced in dealing with healing pain. The other thing that has had a huge impact and was really helpful for me is doing hypnosis. So that's another option to do that. Also biomagnetic therapy. So I know someone that does that, and that's another option. So there are other options. And the point of getting in touch and recognizing and honoring that pain is to find out if it's something that you can process through it and allow it to heal on your own, or if you need more support, or if you need more help. Reading books and getting on podcasts and watching videos has also helped me. Just a lot of YouTube videos. So all these are resources, and the more that we are able to process that information, the more healing that happens, and then it becomes easier. And it's a process of being ready and knowing that you're in a safe place, because anything that happened in the past, we're only re-experiencing it because of the pain or the wounds that have not been healed. What do you think, Tanya, as far as any experiences that you've had that kind of will help clarify that some more, or maybe just open up a discussion on that?
Well, I really think it's important to, also talk about how, when I started doing meditation and mindfulness, you think of, oh my gosh, how am I going to sit here and sit quiet for 20 minutes when I'm so not used to doing this? It's not something that I do regularly. It was a little overwhelming to me at first, many years ago when I started meditation and mindfulness. So it's also very important to keep in mind that, the mind is an active organ, and what you take in very much affects your life in so many ways.
Yeah.
So in terms of, when you think of it that way, also think about, what works for one person might not work for the other. So it could also be a journey of trying to figure out, you gave some great examples, like Adiba, about, whether it be in nature or at home, or, journaling, or, trying to figure out whatever works for you. Also keeping in mind that all of those may work for you, or none of them may work for you. And really just taking that lesson, really internalizing and allowing yourself to be neutral. So allowing yourself to take in the information and understand and realize that it might be a process, that it might be a journey, and that it takes time. It's not, we get attached to these words or trying to explain why, like, our moods or our thoughts or our behaviors occur. But in reality, when we do that, we then connect those to external circumstances, basically saying, I need this in order to be happy, or, I need this in order to change my mood, or I have to do this in order to be at peace. And it's really about letting go of that. I don't want to say stigma, but letting go of that definition that you have in your head of who you need to be or what you need to do in order to achieve that, and just start making these little changes and practices on a daily basis. And then it kind of just happens naturally and organically.
Yeah, it's so true, because we can get stuck in what we think how things should be, right?
Yes. And it's like an ongoing systematic process of self-inquiry, connecting our awareness, connecting to ourselves. And as soon as you think that, you've been in this season and you know what works for you and everything's, flowing, then all of a sudden something might get thrown at you and, oh, maybe I need to make changes, or maybe I need to readjust. So it's just being aware and being present of,
right. And because it's coming to that point in life where it's not about everything being perfect or whatever, because perfect is different, like you're saying, for everyone. But you get to a point in life where you just know, and you have that faith that everything is already planned out for our best interest. So if we take everything as, okay, how does that impact me? What do I learn from it, in a sense of, it's time to heal a certain kind of pain. Like the example I use, like if you're at work and you feel like no one is listening to you and you're getting frustrated, this is a sign that this is something that I'm ready to work on. This is a pain from the past that I can heal, and I can grow from and step into the best me from then on. So whenever those things come up in life, and if we look at them as like, oh, how does that help me become the best that I was created to be, then life changes, and we have the strength to get through. And like you mentioned last week, it's not about, they're not going to be those bad days, because they are. But if we look at those bad days or the bad experiences as tools to allow us to evolve into that next step in our lives, or like you say, this season, then it becomes exciting.
I love thinking about it in that respect, because it's really about not having those bad days turn into bad weeks, and then bad months and bad years, and you just keep following that pattern, and this really helps to thinking positively. And it's easier to think about it in the way of where, when those times come up or when those days come up, it's easier to bring yourself back to the present moment and not react.
Right.
So building those patterns, because when I work with children or when I work with teenagers, I try to talk a little bit about, I guess this is a good segue to really get into talking a little bit about that. But I try to explain, meditation and mindfulness, because it can be overwhelming, especially for teenagers, and helping them understand that, the mind is, like I said before, the mind is an active organ, right? So meditation and mindfulness really help to exercise your brain. It's kind of like going for a walk, exercising, your muscles, your body, and exercising your brain. And I heard this analogy in one of my trainings that I really love, and I think it really resonates well with young kids as well as teenagers and young adults. But think of it as, so like the brain is the machine, and your thoughts are electricity, and your mind are like gears towards how the machine functions and operates. So thinking about how it all kind of rotates and works together to really create that power in yourself, or create that power like in your vehicle to get going and moving, down the road. It's the same kind of concept. And, I heard that and I really loved it because it really put it into perspective. Like, wow, that's such a cool way of explaining that and understanding how, if you need a tune-up in your car, just like you might need a tune-up in your brain, on a regular basis. You got to keep it. You need an oil change. You need a tune-up. You need to put gas in. You need to change the spark plugs. Whatever happens, it's the same. It's the same kind of concept with your brain, your thoughts, and your mind. And I love explaining it that way because it really kind of puts it into perspective of like, oh wow, and not only that, like, but starting early and really, turning that into how is that going to help me in the long run, and even just brain health in general, and how much this really turns into, memory, brain health, and as you get older as well, and practicing that part of your daily life. And just to really, not necessarily, being aware that you're not doing something, but being aware of being okay, of being in the present moment, and not necessarily have all these, fleeting thoughts and becoming anxious and reacting.
So what are some techniques, like for someone that's never done any kind of meditation, mindfulness, where do you start with kids specifically, as far as, say the first time you ever get with them, and whoever's watching can share with kids or even try it themselves as an adult? I think that would be a cool thing to kind of be wrapping up our time together, is giving great tools to get started.
Yeah, so I had talked a little bit about like I talked a little bit last week about how like some of the things that we do in our home in regards to like the gratitude journal, and using your words differently to express your thoughts and emotions, where I would say, instead of I love you, saying something like, you make my heart happy. So it's really about starting to notice the emotions, the sensations, your thoughts, and seeing how that feels inside of you, or asking the child to explain it in more words than just, I'm angry or I'm mad. For example, when you're happy, helping them understand, okay, my chest feels warm and I feel happy because we're playing outside together. Having them really connect to the sensations they feel in their body, because then it's going to really enhance that mind-body connection to help them understand, what are you noticing, what's going on. And in turn, the same thing is like if you're getting angry, it's just getting angry, really starting to understand like, I'm starting to sweat a little bit. I'm shaking. This is what I do when I get angry. What do I need to do to respond to that appropriately? And I've talked to kids in school as well. And, because you can do this in school, you can do this at home, you can teach your children how to do this in any situation. And one of the biggest things is just breathing. I think we don't understand and take advantage on a regular basis just how much breathing can benefit us. And one of the easiest ways, one of the techniques that I use the most is belly breathing. Because I think with kids, it's hard to say like sit there and take a deep breath and out, because then they start getting distracted. So really connecting like the mind and body, and saying like, place your hand on your chest and one on the belly. And as you inhale, fill up the belly like a balloon. And then as you exhale, allow the balloon to deflate, because then that creates a visual for them. I mean, and even for adults, it helps so much with really understanding how should I be breathing and what does it feel like. And making sure that you take a nice deep breath and it's not shallow, and allowing yourself to feel that response in your body. you had talked a little bit about, nature and being outside, something as simple as, a mindful nature walk, and really taking the time following your child's lead. And because our worlds are so busy nowadays. I don't ever remember, and I'm not that old, and I don't ever remember running around so much with my mom when I was younger, and just one of the things that I had said about just being home during this COVID season was, how nice it was to just not have the expectation of having to be somewhere or do something all the time. But we really do that. We do that to ourselves. We put these expectations on us when, if you feel like it's too much, understanding what's working for you and what doesn't. So when I say that, our minds are busy, there's social media, there's internet, there's this and that, kids are so used to go, go, go. If I'm bored, what am I going to do? Like, okay, you don't doesn't always mean that you have to be entertained, but thinking of creative ideas, like, going for a walk and being mindful about what you see in your environment, how many rocks you can pick up. If you see a snail or a caterpillar, or what do you see in your environment? What do you hear, the sounds? And really following that child's lead. And I mean, this definitely works better for the younger kids, but this can work as well too for teenagers or for, kids who do sports like track or running, and helping them to clear their mind as they're practicing and running and learning how to listen to what's going on around them, because then it helps them clearly listen to, oh, well, I hear the runner's feet behind me, maybe I need to pick it up a little bit, as opposed to being so focused on, I have to run faster, I have to run faster, I have to run faster. Like, I got to do this. I got to win. Really understanding your environment and what's around you to help you even achieve that goal. And then I think it's also very important to, I talked a little bit about the belly breathing, but also even something as simple as counting your breaths. If you don't want to put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly because you're somewhere public, or, for teenagers, sometimes they don't always want to do that if they're around friends, but, laying down or just sitting somewhere and really focusing on, breathing in for 4 breaths and breathing out for 4 breaths, inhaling and exhaling, and doing that repetition for your body to help regulate, for you to help actually really regulate your nervous system.
Yeah.
And how important that is, and just calming, anxiety and stress. And I say it all the time. We really don't, as a society and as humans, we really don't understand how important taking a deep breath is for our mental health and our well-being. And I heard this really great quote once, and this is something that I'm practicing, because I'm not going to lie, I love quotes. It's the same with music. I love music. I know like every word to every song if I love it, but I can never tell you who the artist is. So it's the same thing with quotes. I love quotes and I might remember them, but don't ask me who it is. But if you have a question and you want to find out, I can look at it after, just make a comment in the chat. But the quote is, I even wrote it down so I would remember it. The human being is a guest house and our thoughts are our visitors. They come and go, and we get to choose who we want in our house. So that pertains to people. It can pertain to our environment, our thoughts, our emotions. It's really a great way to think about, not listening to yourself and not always thinking that you have to follow a certain way, go a certain direction, have certain thoughts, or do things a certain way, in order to make others happy or achieve your happiness. It's really being comfortable in your own home, literally and figuratively.
Learning how to do that, because we do learn a misperception of being polite and allowing everyone in our home is that it's the way it's supposed to be. And like you're saying, even in our minds. But learning how to make that connection to our gut feeling things, because that's what throws us off is the expectation of what culturally or societally or one thinks we should be doing. It's like, someone said, oh, you always have to be welcoming, you have to, people into your home. And I was like, yes, it's true. You want that community, you want to be kind, you want to treat people right. At the same time, you want to be, that does not leave your doors wide open for people to come and take advantage of you type thing. So it's really being aware and balancing what our culture says we should do, and where and drawing that line and listening to our gut is really important. I know for me, I can see how that has created a lot of turmoil in my life, is, always being polite, always, anyone that is, older than you, whatever they say is right. You have that respect for them. Not saying to take any of that away, because there's wisdom and there is respect and all that, but it's just really becoming very aware with what's going on inside. I really believe we got away from our instinct of trusting our own gift that we were with. And I love what you said about the visualization with the meditation also, and mindfulness, because I've done that. I mean, even now I'll do it, is that when things seem to be too much and I can feel it, is I'll take myself to the beach. I can be driving, be in the middle of this intense discussion with someone, and through practice now I'm able to take myself to the beach, to those feelings, and it's transformational. It is powerful. And to teach our kids at a younger age now how to do that was not taught to me. I didn't learn that until I was old. I'm not that old.
Well, and even not necessarily whether it be the beach or whether it be, children being curious. And, most of the time when children ask or say, well, why do I have to do that? Like, why do you want me to do that? They're really, truly curious about why. Like, what is your reasoning? What is your explanation? Why is it so important for me to do this? So instead of saying, because I said so, because I'm your parent and that's what you have to do, and that's like the generation that I grew up in. That's how I grew up. You don't question that, but it's not necessarily about questioning. It's about teaching them, the thought process and the understanding of, what is the consequence of their action, or like what they did that they made you so proud, and really putting that into terms of, as an adult, they really don't understand that. And that's why they're asking. Most of the time, they're not asking to be, disrespectful, or because children are so forgiving, and their minds are so open and yet so fragile at the same time. That
I really believe it's a reflection of our own pain that comes out when we're questioned by a child. And if we're not aware of that, we latch out, and then it's a generational cycle that just continues over and over. And they've talked about, like physical abuse being passed on, like someone that is, abuses their children is because they were abused, but it's more than just physical abuse, but it's the emotional, it's the mental, it's like the being shut down, it's the being, like, don't speak unless you're spoken to, that, like,
or eat everything on your plate. You're not getting off the table if you don't eat everything on your plate, or like even something.
That's what I'm really excited about with our 1010 talks, is that we have a space that is safe for moms, and then also dads and aunts and uncles and humans to come together that want to see people happy and healthy, and know that it's not about what wrong has been done, but it's how to end the cycle that has created this a lot of anxieties and tension and stress and go 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 like
Mm-hmm.
disconnect. Like for me, it's being disconnected of who we were created to be, which is happy and healthy and contribute to society and make an impactful positive difference in people's lives. Because we definitely, like you said, you learn is like, no, you just eat everything that's on your plate, period. Like
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And, we've all been there, done that.
and finding that balance, how do we balance it and still have, because you have there to live together, we have to have some kind of rules and regulations to follow. Yes, but then it's what is that fine line? um but I know we've had a few people hop on, and it's hard to tell when they hopped on. I was looking at the Facebook right here, so we'll just message them back. I know we've been on here for a while. We could, I know you and I, Tanya, could probably
We could
take
chat, we could talk forever.
7.
I was just gonna type hello in the chat and it came out. I typed help. Thank goodness I didn't send it.
That's so funny. But let's wrap it up for the live part here. I'm feeling really just what's a good word? I was gonna say happy. Well, happy is a good word.
It is a great word, yes.
Covered. My vision and my energy to do this comes from empowering others to at a young age to really recognize that we have the power, that we were created to be happy, to be healthy. And it doesn't have to do with like, not having bad days or bad moments and things happen, but just really getting to a place in life where like a child, just excited and fascinated about everything,
Mm-hmm.
the wisdom of what to do with it. Oh, and then just being really connected with ourselves so we can connect with others and create communities of happy, healthy humans.
Mm-hmm. I think that's so important because, even just like I said before, connecting your awareness to yourself, giving yourself grace, and being precious to yourself and understanding like what your values are or what your value is in your worth and what's important to you. And it can take time. It took me a while to really be able to connect myself to that and understand, what truly makes me happy without saying that I'm happy, without understanding the meaning behind that.
Yeah.
And I think that really starts with, in working with children and teenagers and young adults, that really, really starts with connecting to their emotions, their feelings, and how those sensations feel in their bodies. So even starting at that basic level is really important. And remembering that, meditation and mindfulness, it really is just about breathing, concentrating, relaxing, and just welcoming the present.
Yeah.
So if you can start practicing or normalizing that and into your everyday life, you'll start seeing the changes happen organically and naturally. So
yeah, that shift definitely happens.
You'll start seeing the shift and that magic that like I said last week, this is my magic and all are welcome. I love that. It just makes me happy.
That's a great note to wrap up our
yes.
live on, is that this is our magic and everybody is welcome. So we can have happy, healthy humans everywhere.
Yes, that's a wonderful way to end. I love it.
So, all right.